Julie?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Domains. Depending on what part of the country you're in right now, it could be quite a chilly Monday Night Domains. Definitely in my world, we've got 8 inches of snow outside, so if we have some bad internet connection, that's why. Don't yell at me. Dad, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It was interesting today. You know, they talked about like 163 million people in the United States affected by this
That's
storm.
A lot of
That's
people,
a lot
and
of
I am
people.
one of them. It's not anything to mess around with, so I'm constantly lighting. My roadways are completely blocked. They haven't even bothered getting the snowplows out yet. Like, no, there is no moving. Even my apartment's cold.
Let me go retweet and restream
We'd love
this.
if
Hold
everyone else
on.
would do the same.
Oh, look.
Can
you see
you're
my
ready to share
screen?
it, I can now.
I think I did.
I just
Can
had
you
it
see
turned
it?
off because I wanted to do our little introduction and say hi to everybody before we got into the thick of things.
Well, see on my my X stream now, it has this little red circle says live. Can you see that? Yeah, so that's good. So that's where you can watch Monday Night Domains. You can watch the replay, but not only do you see the stream down here, but I think it's kind of crossing the streams by going in and out. And
we're also live on
Freename,
our sponsor.
So what I'm going to do here,
they're LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, or X. Yes, we're live on all of those as well. If you ever can't find Dad's page.
And if you are marketing your own TLD or you're doing some X marketing, you know, the things you'll want to do is you'll want to have people that come into your room hit this little button here, which is a retweet. And then what you'll do is you'll share. And a lot of times I'll copy my link and then I'll go to my LinkedIn and I'll go ahead and post on LinkedIn, even though they can watch it on the Freename LinkedIn. See, there you go, live with Restream. That's really showing up right there.
Incentives to people
then
who
I can
space.
like that.
We'll have to talk about that. We need to start having incentives for people who retweet the space or share the space. We really appreciate it. You know, we think we're talking about some cool stuff over here. The more we can reach, the merrier. Plus, the more you guys get to learn, because the more people that are watching, the more asking questions, the more that are asking for domain appraisals, all that jazz. Happy New Year, True Domains. Oh, yeah. Is this our first Monday Night Domains of the New Year's? Happy 2025, everybody. Dad, how are you treating the New Year's as a domainer? What's your first steps?
My phrase for the year is I'm looking for things that move the needle. I don't just need stuff to sound good. I don't just need it to maybe be good. I don't just need it to be new and interesting. Is it going to move the needle on my equation? And my equation is I have cost, which is my investment in domains. And then I have sales, which is my sales, which is made up of price and velocity. And I'm looking for things that move the needle. So that's my phrase for this year.
Ambition and positivity.
So I've had a couple sales this year. That was good. Sold a .io name last night, financialplan.io for $1,200. So that was nice. It was $1,200.
Pretty good way to start the new year.
I sold a little XYZ, phoenixrising.xyz for $299. And my cost on that was $2. So that's a pretty good rate of return. And got a couple leads for some .la names that I broker.
That's exciting.
And then I'm going to have a couple names in the upcoming Atom, ATOM, which I still call Squad Help. They're having some public auctions coming up. So I did a lot of work today getting those names ready. And then I thought tonight I'd talk a little bit about Web3. So anyway, how about you, Julie? What are you thinking about for the new year?
I'm thinking about hitting the ground rolling and taking it as a time to reflect on my 2024, see what I could do different, and then get ahead for the whole year. Because I think, a lot of people are still coming back from the holidays, and it's a slower time, especially because a lot of my domain work is in fashion. And so a lot of people don't get sales. Like January, February are the slowest month in like physical sales. So I'm kind of taking the opportunity to do some behind the scenes work, get some planning, and figure out how to maximize my time and my effort for the year. And look back at what I've done in 2024 that worked and what didn't work. And that way I'm not wasting effort on things that didn't work. And then I'm also organizing my life so that I'm not just throwing stuff at a wall and hope it sticks.
Well, pretty cool. Well, Freename, I want to thank Freename, our sponsor. Freename is a domain company that both sells domains and offers you the chance to own your own top-level domain on their ecosystem. And then they also have a mirroring service where you can make your Web 2 domains Web 3. And then they're coming out with a full-fledged ICANN registriar this year. So busy times at Freename, and we thank them for the sponsorship. But I wanted to, because we talked about Web 2 and Web 3, I want to do some Web 3 basics. What do you think,
January is all about getting back to basics. Let's do it.
There you go. So when people think Web 3, it's this concept of it's coming from digital, things that are digital, but not necessarily the internet. And if you think about video gaming, if you think about cryptocurrency, if you think about a lot of the new decentralized chat rooms like Telegram and Discord, it's just different than the idea that Google or Yahoo or X or YouTube, own something and they let you play with a little of it. You know what I mean? And this is more about people create things and they let everyone use them. But one of the things that people equate with Web3 is cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin, if you can see my chart here today, Bitcoin is trading at 103,000. What that means is you can take your real money and you can exchange it. You don't have to buy a single Bitcoin. You don't have to only, once you get $102,000, buy one Bitcoin. You can buy $10 worth of Bitcoin or $20 worth of Bitcoin or $30 worth of Bitcoin. And you, in essence, exchange your dollars to get Bitcoin. And now it's kind of hard to think about having a different currency. But now when you exchange $100 in money for $100 in Bitcoin, that Bitcoin exists digitally. It doesn't exist in the real world. You can't carry it with you in your pocket. And that's got some advantages. And then it's also hard to understand because you're like, well, I'm used to having money. But you have to remember a lot of your money now.
I'm not used to having money.
What's that? A lot of your money now is only an entry in a database where you log into your bank and it says you have so much money, right? But you're not actually holding it all. You know what I mean? But the thing about Bitcoin and any other cryptocurrency is once you get it in the form of a cryptocurrency or a digital asset, it's very easy to swap it for another digital asset. Because you just have a machine talk to a machine and instantaneously do the transaction without having to have a company. You don't have to have office hours. You don't have to have a physical location. You don't have to get out in the snow. You don't have to send a fax. You don't have to log into a website and then have the website text you a code on your phone. But what if your phone's on the charger and you can't get the code to type into the website to be able to just log in time?
I can tell you've never experienced this before.
I run into, and so the way Web3 works is I'll go to this site vision.io. This is a domain marketplace, and rather than logging in per se, I do something called connecting my wallet. And once I connect my wallet, I tell it that it can look in my wallet and it can see all the assets that I own. These are all the Web3 domain names that I own. And anyone can invent an application that once they connect to my wallet, they see that I own all these domain names. A lot of these are .eth domain names, paytheman.eth, wallet24.eth. Then I also have, let's see, some .com domain names like crosschainids.com that I have. It's a .com domain name. It's been tokenized, so I own it in my wallet. And the reason this is important is now I can sell this domain name instantaneously on different marketplaces because the smart contracts that operate are going to make sure that I get someone's money at the same time that that smart contract gives them this domain name. So, Julie, if you and I were doing business, like I bought a painting from you, right? You'd be like, well, I'm not going to give you the painting until you give me the money. And well, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to give you the money unless you give me the painting, right? And if we're in person, it's really easy to swap those two things. But if we're not, we either have to trust each other or we have to get a third person involved. So what Web3 does is it says this transaction is going to take place digitally, where the domain name is going to move to the new person and the new person's money is going to move to me at the same time, and it's called atomically.
Escrow. So kind of like an escrow.
What's that? It is, but it's instantaneous. Even in escrow, you have this period of time where the escrow company has to say that they have your money. And maybe you paid with a credit card, so they have to check and verify the credit card. And maybe it's a weekend, so they can't check the credit card till Monday. And then they need to check that you are a real person and that you own the credit card. So you have to call them and send them a fax of your driver's license. That's just for the person who's paying. Then to get them the domain name, you have to send them the auth code and they have to start a transfer. And then the transfer has to take place. And then the seller needs to say that the transfer took place. And then the money changes hands. Now, that's okay. There's a lot of protection in that process, Julie. But a lot of times, if you're just doing some action, you're like, oh, man, cross-chain IDs. I'm going to buy that name right now for $200. And the worst thing in the world sometimes is for you to buy it and then have the seller go, oh, that was an incorrect listing. I really didn't want to sell it, right? And then how do you feel? You feel like you got ripped off, like you had a good deal, and now they're backtracking on the deal. Same time, I may sell you a name, and you could buy it, and then right after buying it, before the check clears, you may call the credit card company and say, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I don't get the money, and you're like, I'll give you the name back. So the atomic nature of Web3 transactions gives a permanence to it. It's written on the blockchain. There's still some extra steps that happen later, you know what I mean, to get the domain if you want to manage it or build a website. But that's the essence of it. And all this happens because I connected my, in this case, MetaMask wallet that has all my different assets in it. It has my tokens, my different cryptocurrencies, and it has my different NFTs. And if you think about domain names, in this case, I have 13 different domain name NFTs Then I have I have 108 other Ethereum name servers. And so it's just a more elegant way and a decentralized way, meaning anybody can create a new technology to help me manage or do something with these names. Now, right now, if you look up here, Julie, on my screen, this is my wallet address. It's this really long OX50069. And it's really hard to remember that. So what domain names do is I can actually rename my wallet. In this case, I've renamed it metaverseids.eth. And you can't really see it, but it's up here. And so now if someone wanted to send me a domain name or cryptocurrency, I could say, send it to metaverseids.eth. Or I could send it to my Freename domain name or my Unstoppable domain name. That's just a little glimpse of this thing we call Web3. That's a different way of doing things than the old-fashioned way that was centralized and controlled. Now, I'm glad we have an old-fashioned centralized way to manage our real business domain names. But it's so burdensome on innovation to have to always be tied down that's why we keep exploring Web3. Anyway, that's my little primer on Web3
I think
tonight,
it's
Julie.
great. I think it's awesome you got all the aspects of kind of the digital identity that is Web3 right now. I think it's important to say it can always expand because it's not tied to ICANN, which has to go through government regulation and then change anything takes 15 years. Whatever we say Web3 is now, it's going to change next week. So I think Freename's doing a great job of staying on top of that with the mirroring and with the Web2 registrars, like just getting everybody the best of all the worlds. Yeah, that's my opinion.
And these digital assets, Julie, this is probably the most popular NFT collection right now. These are pudgy penguins. This little picture right here is worth $96,995.
Well, dang.
That's a digital asset that's held in a wallet.
Is that yours?
So the idea that new generations of investors are willing to hold and trust high-value digital assets in a wallet and in a decentralized environment has proven 100%. To be
it's true. Also important to look at the larger businesses that have bought in millions into crypto, and like it's not. Yes, those people because I think a lot of people with Web3, the blockchain, all that kind of stuff, they kind of expected. Like the 2016, invest a lot of money. If you don't take it out, you're broke now. But it's like, no, just do it like you would a normal stock market. Be smart, follow, and like it's a very viable source of like, it's real. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that domain names are going to be like pudgy penguins, but if you look at this pudgy penguin, it was probably worth $3,000 in January of 2022. That's crazy.
This long to grow because normally they spike and drop. So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah. And it's just the idea that if you can create, in this case, a picture, in my case, a domain name, or what a domain name represents, you're not limited to how fast you can scale, how exciting you can make it. You don't have to like the old days where you had to build a new factory every time you wanted to build more product. You know what I mean? You had to hire employees and managers, and you had to grow, and you had to, you have this unlimited ability to scale. And a domain allows you to build a virtual community, a virtual piece of land, a group that people want to be part of, all with the same name, and you're unlimited. Now, by the time other people create great uses for these Web3 domains, you can just wait and follow along and do what they do, and that's totally understandable. But now is a time for people to be the one who leads coming up with these different ideas. So anyway, that's why I want to keep exposing everybody to Web3. We're used to paying for our domains every year. a lot of Web3 domains and Web3 TLDs don't have renewals. So my ability to always be in the game, to always have a chance to win, as opposed to always knowing that if I own 1,000 domain names, I'm going to have to pay 1,000 a month in renewals, and the first 1,000 of profit each month goes to my renewals. You have this concept of it doesn't cost that much money to keep track of who owns a domain name. So they don't need renewals. And then you can go build an unlimited size community based upon what you bring to the table.
Without renewals, you're not feeling like you're kind of in a hurry to sell. You can actually sell for what it's worth. You can build it out and take the time because you're not having to decide every year which names to keep and which ones to get rid of. Because like with the Web2 domain,
as well as the fact that you can concentrate on it for a while, and then if you take a break, it's not like, oh, I got to get back because I got to pay a renewal. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not like Web2 domains where as soon as you buy it, there's a timer on how long, like you got to sell it. Like, does that make any sense?
So I wanted to go and just look real quickly. This is the Freename website, and I clicked the who is, and they've sold 22,000 top-level domains, meaning in this case, .crown, KROWN, is the top-level domain. So someone owns that, and then whenever people buy domains in .crown, then they get 50% of the revenue. So here's some of the stuff that was registered, .selfiequeen, .free domains. That's interesting. These are called wordmojis, Julie. They have like the internet, and you have a picture that kind of gives you a combination of the word and the picture.
I like that.
You know what I mean? And so, you can, it's kind of cool. Let's see what else. .crown is interesting because that's kind of, you can make your own definition of what that is. So here's .verify. So just think, that's a common English word. So you could have a community where you verified who you were or what you were. Girl F, Palm Beach. So anyway, these are some of the ones that are getting sold each day for people to build and create. And it's pretty exciting to see.
I feel like soon we should go into the individually registered Freename TLDs, the most selling SLDs, and see what they're doing, see kind of how they're marketing those. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think Metaverse is the biggest one. Let's see. .metaverse has 38,674 domains. So then I can click on this, and again, some of these are really long. Crypto asset management, 56, but what's interesting about that is all these are recorded on the blockchain. So like right now, Google's the most popular search engine because they send their little spiders around to search the whole internet. In Web3, a company could just go to .metaverse, look up all these domain names, look them all up to see what's there, and return back a search engine. You know what I mean? It's like all the information's out there instead of Google going and finding the information and then only they have it, right? So this way you have other companies. I could download a CSV file of all the domains in .metaverse if I wanted to. So it's this decentralized nature that's going to look a little different because we all like Google, you know what I mean? Because it makes our life easier, but then they also sell us a bunch of junk and stuff like that.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I love it. I think that's probably all we're going to do for today just because I'm very concerned for my internet going out. Gotcha. It is very icy and very snowy here in Cincinnati, Ohio. But I hope everyone has a great and hopefully warm week and a very happy 2025.